Welcome, guys. So yesterday you worked in small groups, sharing your notes from chapter 1 through 4 of To Kill a Mockingbird, and you elected the person that you want to be sitting on the inside circle. Today we're going to be discussing it, and I want you to remember when you're discussing, make sure you are citing textual evidence. Refer back to the pages. You have your book in your lap. Make sure you're referring back to it. Some of the questions that we have ask you to analyze the characters, specifically the teacher and what is her role in helping us know about the other kids. Why is she put in? I want you to make sure you're discussing the author's choice of using a 6-year-old as the narrator and what effect that has on the story. And then the last thing is, one of your standards is to read and comprehend literature of the appropriate complexity. Even though we have a story told by a 6-year-old, it is not written by a 6-year-old. It is one of the highest reading level books that you've read. So I want to make sure as we're discussing, we also all understand what's going on. So we're going to have the inner circle is discussing, outer circle is taking notes. You are welcome to tag team in if you want to get into the conversation, and I'm going to be keeping track of participation. So do we have anyone that would like to start? Mahir.
I wanted to start off with what kind of teacher is Miss Caroline Fisher. I said she's not a good teacher, and she's a strict teacher, because on page... And I don't think she has much experience, because on page 37, she starts crying when the Yulo boy starts insulting her, which means that she probably doesn't have enough experience, not even like practice teaching, even if she just got her degree. And not only that, on page 22, she only wants her way. She doesn't allow Scout to study on her own. She wants Scout to be like with the class and be slower than herself. So I think
Okay, so also I agree that she's not a very good teacher, because around like page 26, like the narrator, which is Scout, she was trying to explain how like Walter was a Cunningham and he never takes steps that like he can't pay back. But like she didn't understand, and even though Scout was just trying to help, she like looked out at him.
I don't think Miss Caroline's a bad teacher. I think she is really inexperienced because she doesn't like know this town. But like, I don't think she's like trying to like purposely be a bad teacher. Like, I know that she didn't let like Scout read, but I think she was just confused because like the school system just told her to like teach this new system, and then she didn't really know like she wasn't like anticipating like any people who already knew read. And when she met like Burris, when he was like he had lice, I don't think she was like being a bad teacher, because she did tell him to like go home, wash your hair, because like that's what like normal teachers would like tell someone who has like lice in their hair to do.
I think, I don't think the fact that she told Scout to not be sometimes that makes her necessarily a bad teacher. I guess that's something that she should not have done. But a lot of other teachers in today's period as well would do that as well, because if she's given a new topic and you just teaching, she's not expecting anyone who's going to already know how to read, and that child could possibly confuse all of the other students in her class, because they'll be going too far ahead and no one else will understand what's happening.
Okay, so I have a question about it. Why do you think we're putting this teacher in? Do you think she had any role other than just she was the teacher? As a reader, is she giving us information that we're not getting from anywhere else?
She's bringing in like one of the other questions, for example, how the kids in the classroom like help teach. She does too, because like she doesn't know anything about the community, so they have to bring in what the community thinks like the assumption was. So they're able to bring in like the stereotypes of like on page 26, I think they say like, or after 33, it's like he's just a Cunningham, like that's what they expect of like each person, like they don't really expect anything different. So like when Walter like went to their house and started acting differently, like Scout was really surprised by that. So what she said is different and you can infer that a lot of people in the class have the same opinions as they're like this way you're supposed to expect from them, this is what you're supposed to expect from them. So like she was a way of bringing like what everyone's doing here.
Yeah, so she's like ignorant and she doesn't like understand how everything works, so like they have to explain everything to her, and that like introduces information to her.
John, would you do me a favor, please, and close that door? We're getting some hall noise. Also, when you're speaking, I know y'all are in a closed circle, make sure you're talking loud, because remember, some of you have your back to the people that are in the outer circle, so make sure you're speaking loud, and we have some hall noise to contend with. Okay, sorry.
I agree with both of y'all because Miss Caroline basically has the same amount of understanding as the readers, because we as readers don't know the background of the people in the community. But by bringing in Miss Caroline, it kind of allows information to be slipped into the story without just giving a chunk of saying, this is the Cunninghams, they're not very wealthy, this is what they do. It kind of gives you a way to put the information in.
Our pretty easy introduction of Miss Caroline also leads way to acknowledge that Atticus being a lawyer has led to Scout being a head leader.
Okay. Emmanuel, I know you were getting ready to say something. Does it go along with that, or did you forget? Okay.
At the same time, everyone else was saying that I don't Miss Caroline, she's new to town, kind of like a reader named Andrew. And some books that someone can read it to relate to.
Okay. So as Miss Caroline's learning about the characters, we also are learning about the characters and the community and how they interact. Okay, which brings us, I've heard two names come up, the Cunninghams and the Yules. And we don't know a whole lot about them yet. What do we know? Are they the same type of people? Or do they have similarities? Are they different? What's going on with those two families? And anybody that wants to get it started can.
Cunninghams and Ewells are similar in that they are both the poorest family for town, but they are also different in that Cunninghams do their level best to advance their station in life, and they are honest workers. But in the Ewell household, their father mostly just spends all their money on music.
And he also doesn't, like, the children, they only go to school for 1 day a year, and after like maybe 4 years of first grade, they might actually move him up.
After 4 days of first grade.
What do you think about the like setting? Like they brought in like the bad because like everyone's scared. Like what do you think about the situation?
You just kind of make it stick out, like it's like a really big part that's gonna come out later. And everything bad is gonna happen next. Like we talked about like goofy and sickness.
That's sort of a form of foreshadowing.
Got it.
It was at the end of chapter 3 or 4 when Scout mentioned that, I think it was in the end of chapter 4,
Yeah.
when Scout mentioned they rolled a tire next, or they rolled Scout right by the Radley house, and right as she's about to get up, she started laughing. Along with that, Harper Lee also adds in a lot of like, what is that word? Like sensual something, like imagery, and all of these adjectives so that you know how it feels to be around the house, and it's showing foreshadowing that something bad might happen there, or you know, you might feel that someone who is happy in there, whatever. Like that.
Yeah, and it kind of brings in the mood, and it's like on page 19, it's establishing the mood when it says, after Jem went to touch the house, it says, safely on our porch, panting, out of breath, we looked back. The old house was the same, droopy and sick, but as we stared down the street, we saw an inside shutter move. Like a tiny, almost invisible movement, and the house was still. It kind of makes it like a eerie, like mysterious, kind of bad feeling to be around the house, because if it's droopy and sick and like haunted almost, not really haunted because, well, I mean, maybe he's stuffed inside of the thing, but
I know that, like,
I'm done.
I know that the setting also includes the time period. I feel like it's during the Great Depression because in the book it says like the Cunninghams were one of the families that were affected majorly, 27, that were affected majorly by the crash. They're probably talking about the Great Depression. And not only that, on page 5, no, not on page 5, on page 6, sorry. At the end, it says that Macomb County had recently been told that it had nothing to fear but fear itself. Those were the words of FDR during World War II because he was telling them not to fear like the Axis or what was going on in the world. So I feel like that's the time period, the 1930s.
Yeah, I remember going through the story before they mentioned the stock market crash or anything, and just looking at little clues. Oh, okay, so football is a big thing, so it must be during this time period, and trying to narrow down what it was. Does anyone have any idea what impact do you think the time period has on the story, and what do you think would be different if maybe Scout was born in a different time period? Would the problems be different? Would the concepts be different, or anything like that?
Well, I mean, if Scout was born like nowadays, I know like we haven't read that far in this book, but I think this like book deals with like issues of racism and stuff. So, I mean, if she was born now, that probably wouldn't be like such a big part of the story.
I feel like if it was a modern time right now, then I feel like the racism might have been more unlike like blacks and white segregation, but more like what's going on today. And I feel like if it was modern, they wouldn't be speaking like this. The people wouldn't have as like many money conflicts because this is more of a county. And so I think the conflict might have been much.
Also, I think if Scout was born like in a more modern time, it wouldn't focus that much on like what was happening in school. Because like Anna said, it does kind of deal with like racial things because like there's like racial slurs or there's like people are different in their own sort of like stereotyped way. Like there's the Cunninghams and then there's like the country folk and then there's the people who only go to school once to follow the law supposedly. But I feel like if it were in a more modern setting, like everybody would be the same age and a grade and it wouldn't focus so much in school. It would be like I came to school and I came back because not much would be different from any regular school. Yeah.
So what I was thinking is if we were in modern times, then Scout wouldn't have Calpurnia teach her how to read or teach her etiquette because she wouldn't even have Calpurnia in life.
Okay, so Andrew's bringing up a good point. So we have Calpurnia, who takes on quite a few roles in the story. And so you're saying you don't think she would be here in modern times.
No.
Why?
Because back then, was she like a mother figure, maybe?
She was like a
Okay,
Like
is she
a
a mother
mother
figure?
figure.
Is she a maid?
She
was both.
She was like
both.
She was
All of
it
them.
says and she taught Scout how to read. So
She's a cook, but she also served as a mother figure.
I feel like Calpurnia was like back then what men expected it was.
yeah.
I think back then.
Okay,
Not now.
so why is Atticus, which is Scout and Jem's dad, relying on Calpurnia to be what a woman's expected to be?
Because
What's going on with that?
He's like the men's, that's like how the men used to read and like he's working all this and
Okay, Go.
Ross's wife, so he doesn't have anybody to like look after the kids. He doesn't have anybody to like take care of the house.
Yeah.
So he needed somebody to do that for him.
okay, so, go Lauren.
Okay, so Scout also has like a lot of male influences in her life. So maybe Atticus wants her to have like a little bit more of a female influence.
Do you think she respects Calpurnia?
Yes.
Scout.
Yes.
Hold on, wait, we have some shuffling going on. I said, do you think she respects her?
Yes. Yes, because
Okay,
when Calpurnia is fussing at Scout about, like, sort of talking bad about Walter Cunningham, she kind of gives that sense of like, oh, I did something wrong and like I disappointed her. And that shows like respect, because when you get in trouble with your parents, you're more afraid of them being disappointed at you, and you respect their rules.
Okay. Emmanuel.
On page 45, when Scout took the gun that came from the country, the Radcliffe country, Jen threatened to tell Calpurnia about it, and it says, rather than risk a tangle with Calpurnia, I did as Jen told me, which shows that he kind of either fears or respects Calpurnia.
Okay, she definitely has some fear of Calpurnia, but I do think it's also a level of respect. I kind of agree with Lauren, like, there's more than fear there. She's kind of who's raising her at this point, because her dad's working a lot.
What's the difference between when it's summertime or like school time? Because during the summertime when Steph and Jen are like playing and like are just free all the time, she has like a stronger hand on them and she's being more strict. So so Steph is like more afraid of Calpurnia, but then once school starts, I don't know where it was, but Dad said that she was like more loose and then she had more time and she was like made kind of like a special bread that she liked and things like that. And then I feel like when it's like school time, she like respects her more than interferes her because she's more of a mother figure like in this person.
Okay.
I think that was towards the end of chapter 4.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's just getting like big and nice.
Okay, so another thing now that I want us to discuss is, why do you think Harper Lee chose to tell this story from a 6-year-old point of view, although she's writing it as an adult who's remembering back to when she was 6, she's still relying on 6-year-old memories. Does that make her a reliable narrator, or are we dealing with an unreliable narrator? And why do you think Harper Lee chose Scout's point of view and not Jem, who's a little bit older, or Atticus, who's much older, or even Calpurnia, who would have had a different story to tell? So y'all start a conversation with that.
I'm gonna start on the reliable part.
Okay.
Because I don't think she's reliable, especially because it's, like you said, it's a 6-year-old, but she's 60 later, but she's referring back to when she was 6 years old. And little kids tend to exaggerate things as it is, but when you're 60 trying to remember back, like, I can't remember back that far and still be reliable, especially because I don't know what page it was on, but she was saying that one of the teachers was teaching them the Dewey Decimal System.
Of language arts.
Of language arts. Is
there a problem with that?
That's something that's in the library.
Okay.
The nonfiction
the number. Yeah.
Okay.
That's nothing to do with language arts, but Emma wants to tap in. So.
Okay. Emma can jump in, and I think Emmanuel's going to talk while y'all are switching out.
Okay. I want to say that like.
Okay, never mind.
Okay, never mind.
No, you can go. Emmanuel will go after you. It doesn't matter. Either way.
Reliable, but sometimes remember something more traumatizing.
And I feel like, it is that's individual to every person. Some people might remember their childhood better than others. Madison might say that she doesn't remember any of it, but I personally remember quite a bit of my childhood, and like especially certain memories I remember very vividly, and maybe those are the memories she chooses to tell.
Well, I was thinking like, I think it can be a reliable story because I know it's a very long time difference from when she experienced all this or felt stuff like this to when she was writing it. And I know that the author is kind of creating herself in Scout and going through things that she went through. So I think that at the time she was 6 or whatever, if that one thing that is going to happen in the book, which you don't know yet because we're not far enough along, but if that one thing made such an impact on her when she was 6 or did something to change her life at that time, then she could probably remember it.
Okay, so You're saying depending on how significant the event is. And I would imagine being a 6-year-old who goes into school reading and to be told by your teacher you can never read again at the place that's supposed to be embracing books and you've been looking forward to this, that in itself would probably be pretty traumatic. Getting hit with a ruler on your first day, a little traumatic.
Another thing that made me preferably choose to be a 6-year-old girl was that normally parent it wouldn't, if we were using a parent or maybe Jem or an older character, maybe you couldn't develop the Radley place being more scary. This is coming from a 6-year-old girl that completely trusts her older brother, into thinking that it's completely scary. So I think that it will have been harder if it was a difference.
But this book is also kind of true because it was based on when Harper Lee was a little girl, and those things probably happened to her too. So she probably that's how she remembers all these items from her childhood, and that helps her further introduce the plot of the story.
So Haroon has a point that this is her own, based on a true story. We also have to remember that it's a fictional story. So even though it is based on a true story, it's not what actually happened, which I think makes an unreliable resource because it's fictional but it's based on a true story. So all these things that she's saying happened are exaggerated features of what really happened.
I think that his relationship with the kids are definitely different than a normal relationship as a father and kid. Because for one, they call him Atticus instead of dad or father. So definitely it shows that the relationship is different between them.
Also, instead of calling Atticus, I think it's somewhere, in the book, I can't remember, but they also called him Sir. When she kind of was saying, beg your pardon, she said, what, sir? And she called her dad Sir. And I think that was more professional, not really a father-daughter relationship.
Well, I agree with what Riley said. For a good part of the story, I was confused who's Atticus, because not calling her father, she's calling her Atticus, which, I mean, it signifies some sort of friendliness between them, they know each other, they talk to each other, and that's evident at the end of chapter 3, I believe, where she was making a compromise with Scout, and they were talking about how, because Scout was saying that she didn't want to go to school because she wasn't allowed to read, and Atticus made a compromise with her, telling her that they would still read as long as she still went to school. So I like the way, I think he was a good father in the way that he was able to be open with his children and compromise with his children and talk to them, while still keeping that level of respect where she called him Sir.
Okay, I'm going to stop you there because we are running out of time. Okay, excellent discussion. Y'all brought up some great points. You did a great job of supporting your answers with evidence. I also want to compliment you on your ability to move in and out of the circle as other people had things to say. You did a good job of shuffling yourselves in, making sure everyone had a chance to be heard, and looking and talking to each other without me having to be the referee or the you get to go next. Before we end, what I would like you to do is a 3-2-1 exit ticket, which is going to look like this. It's going to make a pyramid. And what I want you to do is tell me 3 things that you think you understand better as a result of this conversation, or 3 things that maybe you didn't consider that you are thinking about now. I know some of you still have some notes that we didn't get to, so the 2 is 2 things that we didn't get to discuss that you're thinking we probably need to. And the last thing is, what do you think was your biggest contribution to today?